created a great atmosphere there is people left them alone, right? So there was not a lot of supervision. And I think that's key so that they could play by placing different animals in surprise places for people, and with the peanuts, having snowball fights kind of thing with those. Well, I don't know if they're formed into snowballs actually, but the spontaneous nature of it, that also they would just out of the blue hear somebody laughing because they were down in the shoebox aisle and reading cards. And so just that's the story you read. And then our success factors is a sense of community would be a big one, that people belong and there's ownership and that there is inspiration. And I'm not sure what else to say about that, but
there it is.
There it is, yes. Surprise, delight, joy. Yeah, when everything's so predictable, when there is so much of a pattern, then we tend to get a little bit bored, so we need those change-ups. Personal investment, which is what helps build a community. Environment is huge, having things around you that are playful, colorful, that there is room to express yourself, and ways to change your environment. Energizing distractions, whether those are planned, which sometimes they can be, but then also having an element of surprise where you just show up out of the blue. No hierarchy, that titles don't matter. Status is even, titles don't matter, and everyone can contribute. Resourcefulness, which makes us feel good that we've created something out of nothing. Comment. There was hay bales in the snow, creating that snow wonderland in the backyard. Remove fear by physically engaging rather than just talk, because talk can be a way of not taking risk and putting up boundaries and barriers, just stopping the talking and getting up and doing. Oh, that's what's, sorry. And personal connections, I think we had that, we care about that a lot. So that's why we have personal investment and connections.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
All right.
Can we have a next group to volunteer? If you'd like to come up next to Sarah Porter. Down the back? Fantastic. Come on through.
Hi, thank you. Hi, I'm Sandra Finkel, and my table's in the back there. The dip we liked the best, and we had trouble through so many really good ones, was the one about the Jackson Hospital Billing Department. And some of the things we loved about that story was that it wasn't just an intervention that was done from an outside consultant that was transformative. This was something that really infused the whole culture. And it was not something that was sort of, dictated by an expert or the leaders. It seemed like the leaders may have given permission, but that it was really very grassroots, and that it was sustaining. That this is an environment that was created that would diffuse stress in what's typically a very somewhat boring and stressful type of work, listening to, trying to collect money from, people, and having, being in a cubicle or whatever the situation is, and being able to lighten things up and get support and be playful. So, and some of our things, we did it a little bit differently. We looked at some of the things that were core throughout all of our stories too, so not just these. One is this enhanced engagement, and sense of infusing the culture. It was a lot of collaboration and caring that was created. We have, that it had both leadership endorsement, but the involvement was fully, involved full participation of the staff and involved creativity. Wordier than the one words. Seeing things differently from other viewpoints, getting the complaint call, the stressful call, and that's the raising the umbrella, and inviting people to participate in diffusion of stress, remove inhibitions, and then building trust through using vulnerability and safety.
Fantastic.
Give them a round of applause.
I'm David Snyder. Our table is by the door.
Small
We
lady.
also chose Hallmark. We liked Hallmark because it illustrated the significance of spontaneity and making work attractive. It also pointed out the business value of the person who might have gone to some other place but stayed there for 4 years and worked, and that gave the establishment reliable people working there, didn't have to go out recruiting and incur that cost. It was also interesting to us that the play was with the merchandise. They were playing with what they were selling. And we had a sense that the customers probably experienced some of that playfulness because of the arrangements. Things changed in the store because they were always playing with new possibilities. Another part of that story appealed to us, which was crossing generations. It brought together people who were, on different sides of their lifespan. And the play let them have connections that it sounds like were very easy. And I guess it's it's an indication that play is a leveler. It lets us forget some of the differences and connect just because there's another person there. And the years don't really make that much difference. The play was spontaneous, and we think it both created a sense of community and came out of a sense of community, because you had to have some sense of community to take the risk of playing. And then once you start playing, you get a different sense of community. Now, our key factors that ran through all of them, we think, are the combination of structure and spontaneity and freedom. In the Hallmark story, the structure was the absence of management telling them you could or couldn't do it. And the spontaneity came within that structure. So the freedom takes place, but there also, we think in most of the stories and in most play, there's some structure to it. The play is kinesthetic. It involves bodily movement, not just talking. It involves our whole selves. We also liked the stories about the collection, and we were thinking that one illustrates beautifully how stress transforms into engagement, connection, and resilience. So there was stress, that play transformed and took away the stress. And that led the mundane to become life-affirming. And that combination built community engagement. And then for the business case, there was a positive impact on the service that they were providing, and what they delivered to customers was better, and the engagement with customers was fuller.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Who'd like to go next? About middle secondary?
Emily, Kristen, Chris, and Walter. Our favorite story is also the Hallmark story. We didn't plan this or copy it. It's just a great story, right? So we believe the same thing that everyone else has spoken about today, but a couple of things that hasn't been brought up is that story brings connection as well. So if you come to work and you're not anticipating what you're going to find, first of all, so you never know what you're going to walk into. But you come in and you see something like, oh my goodness, I know David did that. He's a nut. Can you believe he did it that way? So instantly, you're thinking about David, you're connecting to David, and you might think, oh, he's doing that in response to that awesome thing I did yesterday. Oh, now I got to get him back. I'm going to have to top this. So it can create that energy of moving forward, connecting with one another, topping each other, having the freedom to do this at work, and having the trust. We talked a lot about trust in our group because the management has to be able to trust that they can do these things and still get their work done. It's just not a bunch of goofing off, but they are able to get things done, feel good at work, and continue to be productive and earn a profit for the company. We also see how this is easily duplicated. So we can do something like this in our own work. You can go into a coworker's office, place a bunch of hearts like this all around their office, saying you're awesome, you're fabulous, you rock. And they walk in thinking they're about to get into the mundane work, and they're like, what in the world, who is this? And what have they done in my office? And then it's gonna be fun to look at every heart to see what is written. And then, or put a little teddy bear or whatever. The possibilities are endless. And it's quick, it's easy, and it's something that can just brighten up your moment. This moment right here, I now have a smile on my face, or I am laughing uncontrollably because of what I see. And it's fully unexpected. So our hearts, we also made hearts based on several stories and the collective theme of our experiences and what we read. So positive relationships is one. Removing limitations, being able to trust that we can do anything, really. Once again, trust is very important. Trust that we can get the job done, we can have the freedom to play and get things, produce a product. Spontaneity is really cool, it's fun, and it's exciting. It kind of builds adrenaline and excitement. Humor. People want to laugh. People need to laugh. Laughing is good for the brain, it's good for the body, it relieves stress, it reduces tension, so we need to laugh. Courage. It's scary to kind of do some things because you don't know how it's going to be taken. It could be like, who put all this crap in my office? So you're like kind of walking that line of trying to make sure that this is funny, but I hope they like it. But you have to kind of step out of the box, step out and be brave enough to try it, and that's really great. Freedom. People, when they feel that they have freedom, they have the courage to try new things, and they know they're not going to be bashed down, because they tried something new. And then innovation come out of freedom and creativity as well. We also place mindfulness, presence, and readiness. In order to be creative and produce like this, you have to be able to be present and where you are right now, allow your thoughts to flow, and be ready and prepared to be innovative. Faith in the process. This is especially for management. They have to be able to trust, like, hey, I'm spending a lot of money on this party or event. Will we really produce? Will this really, will happy workers really make something happen for me? And then synergy. When workers are together, bouncing their energy and their positive ideas off of each other, it just blooms into something greater, and it blossoms into more energy, more creativity, and that fuels greater productivity. So,
Fantastic. Well done. Thank you.
hello, my name is Antoinette Hopper, and our group, I think we really focused on the hospital billing, and we pediatrics unit. The thing that really stood out to us was how you could have play in such a somber and serious environment, and how, especially in the billing department, the stress of dealing with people who are sick or unhappy can be thwarted by a little bit of play in the office. So we saw play through all of our stories as a means to an end, that it integrates tasks and relationships, and that integration can be sequential, not we're going to play and now we're going to go to work, but that we could play and work in the same frame. And we said that let's go of a lot of evaluation, like we're in the moment. It breaks down that hierarchy, and we're all together to accomplish a goal. It breaks down our norms and our habits, and it implements a different type of stimuli. So if we're not, in the day-to-day of we're going to come in, we're going to sit down, we're going to work, we're going to talk, and then when we leave, we're going to go to another place and we're going to socialize. Now we can actually come in and be in the act of engaging and playing, but also working. And one thing that we discussed is that in those moments when you are just simply shooting the breeze, talking, that you learn a lot about a process or about how people handle things, which can be helpful to you in your own work. That it, especially if play touches our senses, that it's more than just going, for example, to a lecture and being lectured to, but if it's speaking to all of your senses, the touch, the smell, the hear, and the seeing, that it makes you more engaged. And the surprise, and we were especially surprised at how you could play in such a somber environment. And that surprise just led us to know how genuine play can be in those types of situations. It engages us and pulls us into tasks and better relationships. And it can be very participative. So it builds a community and equality.
Thank you, fantastic. Last time we met.
Hello, my name is Matthew Cole, and I'm from Lawrence Tech. I want to thank our team here. We have Chris and Janice and Jeanette and Seth and Bev. And the reason I point that out is because I'm usually really bad at names, but this notion of playfulness and feeling safe has kicked up my neural activity. Remembering names, I'm a professor and I can't remember anybody's name. Even the sheets in front of me all semester and I still can't remember. So maybe the trick is to do some play early in the semester and get to know people's names. So one of the things we focused on was the Breaking the Bread story through Bev, as well as some other stories. And I'm going to say that our most favorite story that sort of links everything together was the construction party story. But going back to the Breaking the Bread story, one of the things that was also shared to us was a task that occurred in that same event that Bev was describing, which was using nicknames. So in light of that, we're the cookie table. So that's our nickname, the cookie table. Anyway, so the construction party was really interesting notion of the Blitz night and how music and food is encouraging the activity. So we're like the Hallmark task, which some of you had focused on, was about playing with the merchandise. I think this construction party is about playing with the task. The task being to wire the house, or whatever is being asked to be accomplished. So purposeful outcomes. So our aspects of success that we focused on was the breaking of the bread, which is about using nicknames and a sense of community. Release of constraints really occurs in that construction party task. So the opportunity to be engaged in the Blitz night with the music is breaking down rules, it's releasing constraints, it's changing the boundaries. And ultimately what's happening throughout the process is purposeful play. So it's not that the end result is somehow met by doing the play. The whole task is the play. So throughout, it's purposeful play. What that does is shift the context from one of strict constraints and boundaries to one of openness and one in which there's a climate of safety. And ultimately, it's the safety that we think was perhaps one of the strong contributors of the playful environment in that task. Because when you're safe, you're not feeling constrained, you're more innovative, and so everybody's strengths come out in that task. Thanks.
Thank you so much. So that was great. I think some similarities between some of the groups, but some real differences that you can see coming out in those stories as well. And I've created this into the heart because I think change of any kind requires heart, head and hands to be engaged. And over the course of today, we're going to build the heart, head and hands of creating play in organisations. But what we've started to do here is what in the appreciative inquiry process we talk about as the positive core. When purposeful play works well in an organisation, what's the positive core? What are the strengths, the success factors that we might be able to build upon? Because we know for some reason it's possible to have these things. We're not going to go into dreaming kind of just pulling things from the ether, but when we go into the next step of dreaming, we want to build it on things that we know are already possible, that are accessible and that are achievable in organisations because we're seeing them happen already. So this has been the discover piece of the 4Ds. Discovery, typically in appreciative inquiry summits, will happen with that kind of dyad, interviewing in pairs. Often you'll get people to just share their own story of success. So you get those strength-based stories coming out, and you create a lovely environment in a room where people feel very safe quickly in the space because they're talking about themselves at their best. And there's not many of us that don't enjoy that conversation. Today, because we wanted to make sure that you could learn about play as you went through this exercise, I slightly switched that exercise to get you to pick somebody else's story to share, because I thought it was a good way to make sure you actually read the packs and got the benefit of all those other experiences that were being shared in the room. Again, discovery then very typically in an AI summit will get you to move from the pairs into the groups, introduce your partner just like you did today, and share their story of success. So that again, every voice in this room has now been heard. You can imagine what that's like. David and I ran an AI summit in Australia a few years ago with 400 PricewaterhouseCoopers partners. And within the first hour, all 400 voices had been heard in that room. And the power that that creates for people to feel respected, to feel valued, to feel appreciated right at the outset of this kind of event, that their opinion is valued and that it matters. And I find for that reason this process very, very powerful in terms of helping a small or large group quickly come together and start to find things that they have in common to create common language, common stories that they can start to work with together. So we'll take morning tea break now. If we can be back ready sort of at 11:15, we'll move into the next stage of dream. There are cookies and coffee and tea and water here, so please help yourself. The cafeteria is also open upstairs if you're looking for other things. And if we can be back ready to go on Australian time at 11:15, that would be